very special guest right here, and it is the founder of the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio, my favorite state, God's country, Ohio.
There it is.
Bob Lung on the line. Bob, how you doing?
Doing great. Andy, thank you for having me. Honored to be a part of this. Looking forward to meeting you and everybody from UFF at the Expo in August. So really,
Yeah.
really looking forward to that. I know we've chatted and seen each other online a lot, as many of us have, but we're all going to be live again in August. So we're looking forward to it.
That's going to be great. Yeah, actually be in person, not virtual and all that. That'll be, and the color coordination was totally not planned.
It really was random.
We're quite random.
It looks
You got
cool.
the cooler shirt though. Yeah, you got the cooler Pro Football Hall of Fame shirt on there. But
yeah, it's my official wearing it for Hall of Fame when I drive for Hall of Fame weekend. So
that's awesome. Well, you know what? Before we get to the actual event, let's talk about this current upcoming NFL season, because of course in UFF sports we're enjoying the Legends League right now. But before you can be a legend, you got to be a current NFL player. That's with our ultimate Fantasy American Football League, UFAFL. So let's chat a little bit about this current upcoming season, because Bob, it's going to be a very interesting year, I feel, at the quarterback position, because you got guys like Ben Roethlisberger who are gone, Matt Ryan changing locations, the rookie crop not super exciting from a fantasy point of view. Where are you at when we're looking at QBs for this year in fantasy?
Well, I'm always been, when it comes from a fantasy standpoint, I've always been kind of one of the go with the older school veterans in a later round than, we all know Josh Allen's great. We know Justin Herbert's great. But the question is, do you want to pick them in the second or third round? And I'm usually against that. So this year, I'm definitely kind of in on guys like Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr is my backup. Maybe even draft both of them in round 10, 11 and see what happens. We know that AFC West is just going to be a fireworks show every time any of those two teams play each other. So that's where I think Carr comes into play. And now he's added his best buddy, Devonte Adams. And like I said, then Matthew Stafford last year was fifth in points and fifth in consistency, which is what I always look at. And again, I can draft him in the 10th round. I can load up on receivers, tight ends, and running backs. Kind of hard to pass up. So, I kind of stay away from the shiny new toys, and I'll go with guys that I know have proven that they can be consistent and year after year. And those guys are people like Stafford and Rodgers and Carr and some of those folks.
Well, I'm with you on the Matthew Stafford. That was going to be a name I brought up. I went that route last year for pretty much the reasons that you said. Now, you're not getting, of course, the leg value, the yardage of, as you said, the toys. I like that, the flashier toys. But you do get consistent. I love the Derek Carr take, because really, Bob, if you look at Carr from his passing yard standpoint, and then you compare it to his passing touchdowns, grossly mismatched. Mm-hmm. With that new weapon in that division where you got to ball out or you're going to be punished, if you can add 5, 6, 7, 8 more touchdowns to Derek Carr, we're talking about a guy that can immediately, with his passing yards before adding Devonte Adams, leap up into that bottom part of the top 12 fantasy QB.
Absolutely. No, that's a great analogy. I couldn't say it better myself. Well done. Yeah, I really like that scenario. Like you said, Josh Jacobs is playing for a contract this year, so he's going to be motivated coming out of the backfield. They've kind of given up on, I just went brain dead. Who was in the back? Kenyon Drake, who they signed last year. They've kind of given up on him, so Jacobs is going to be playing for the big money, whether it's in Las Vegas or it's somewhere else. And Darren Waller stays healthy. There's another weapon. Hunter Renfrow last year looked very good as kind of the only guy, but now I think he'll be even more wide open because people are going to be so worried about Waller on one side and Adams on the other, and Renfrow can still maybe pop off 75, 80 catches and be a nice wide receiver 3 for your team as well.
Hunter Renfrow was one of my top sleeper pickups during the year, waiver wire pickups. Nice. From a PPR perspective, Bob, like the guy was an absolute dream. The guy was
it was.
It was standard, not so much, but PPR, absolutely wonderful. I wonder too, and it'll be interesting to see as drafts start to come up, where Russell Wilson goes in fantasy drafts, because you talk about that loaded AFC West. Well, Russell Wilson's the new kid in town there. we've seen him sort of been taken for granted. He's been so good and consistent for so long that he kind of flies under the radar. If he's healthy, and last year he had that weird finger, that's not nothing like a knee or anything like that. But you get Russell Wilson in with that stacked wide receiver group. I wonder where he's going to go, and I want to know what you think about a Russell Wilson pickup adding to your team, and maybe if you can get him at a value at some point.
Well, the only thing I have to say about Russell Wilson is, did he really improve his situation? Because he had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, you're right.
Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are good. I'm not even sure they're at that level. The funny thing was, he said he went to Denver because he wanted to throw more, and yet Denver's one of the more run-focused teams outside of Seattle. So I guess they'll let him do it because they made the big trade for him. But then what does that do to Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon? Because they ran the ball a lot last year with Drew Lock at quarterback. So it's an interesting situation. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to stay away from Russell Wilson because I'm a little worried about that situation.
Good point.
I think Metcalf and Lockett were just as good, if not better, than Sutton and Jeudy. And Judy's had his troubles off the field. Are they good? Are they talented? Yeah, we never have seen it because they've never had a real quarterback. So I think I think he can be as good as he's been. I'm not sure he's going to be better.
I wouldn't mind maybe taking a flyer later on at Tim Patrick as well on that Denver team.
Love Tim Patrick. Definitely all over with that one. Definitely behind you on that one.
He played well. But yeah, that whole division is going to be absolutely loaded and all that. So that's tremendous. And the wide receiver group, we talked about movement at the quarterbacks, but yeah, Devonte Adams going to the Raiders. I'll tell you this, Bob, and I want to say, maybe it's too bold, but I'm going to stand by it, damn it. Christian Watson, I said it before the draft. I said if that guy goes to a decent situation and is drafted in the right spot, that dude is going to be an absolute superstar. And I think Christian Watson in Green Bay with no Devonte Adams is going to be the fantasy leader when it comes to rookie wide receivers. And personally, I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I love that guy in that situation with Green Bay because, look, you take Adams away. We know Aaron Rodgers is fine saying, I'm going to throw it to receiver X all the time, and you're not going to be able to stop me. I hope that's what happens to Christian Watson.
Yeah, no, and the only thing is Aaron Rodgers certainly loves his veterans. I think Lazard is going to be his first choice, but I totally agree with you. Watson certainly has lots of potential in that offense because other than Lazard, what do you got? I mean, an old Randall Cobb, Robert Tonyan, who was very good 2 years ago, but he's coming back from ACL. I think he'll get his targets at a tight end position. But yeah, how could Christian Watson not do well there? I'm not sure he's going to put up Devonte Adams numbers, but he's certainly going to be very valuable. Like you said, probably will be one of the top rookie wide receivers from a fantasy standpoint. Definitely agree with you on that one.
You mentioned Robert Tonyan, and 2 years ago, now he got hurt, like you said, but 2 years ago, I can't remember the percentages off the top of my head, but his touchdown to catch, they were obscene. No way you could maintain them. It was like 40 catches and 15 touch, something ridiculous. Yeah. So let's talk about tight ends here when it comes to fantasy. And this, Bob, I would say it got harder to pick, not easier, because Travis Kelce, I think it's safe to say he's not going to get any better. He might not severely decline, but you can I think we might have reached the tip of Travis Kelce, and now we're going to start to see it. Where are you at with the tight end strategy when it comes to drafting, looking? Because it seems like, look, if you don't get one of the top 2-3 guys, you are going to be waiver wire chasing for a lot of the year.
Well, and this was where the consistency model really comes into play for people, and it can be very beneficial if you can get the guide on Amazon. Because what I showed this year was last year was actually one of the deepest years for the consistency of tight ends. Last year was actually 10 different receivers that were over 65%. 2 years ago, there was only 4. So there's more consistency. There's more depth and consistency. So guys that I'm targeting this year, kind of like at the quarterback position, Tyler Higbee, 73% consistent last year. He's right now tight end 22 in ADPs. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. These guys are going in the rounds like 8 to 10. And I like them at that value. Again, kind of like the quarterbacks. I might pick 2 of them back to back. I mean, I could easily go rounds 8, 9, 10, 11 and go tight end, quarterback, or some mix up of that. because by then, if I can get two guys that I can rely on, and if one doesn't do great and the other one does great, if they both do well, that's super. I mean, we all want depth. That's a good problem to have. So I'm kind of in that realm. I'm probably not going to get Kelsey in the second or Mark Andrews in the third or even Waller in the fifth. They all are great, but man, you just give up so much at the other positions. And I think if I can get that 70% consistency out of a Higbee or Ertz, and still maybe they're 30, 40 points behind the top guys, but over 18, 17 games, what is that? 2 points a week? Is it really going to hurt me when I can draft the other guys in much higher, get the guys I really need, stud tight end or stud wide receivers and running back. So that's kind of my approach for tight ends, and it has been for quite a few years now. Kind of always stay away from the big boys. I get it, and I know why people do it, but I always feel like I just hate to pass up on a stud running back or wide receiver to take Kelsey. Paid off last couple of years, but like you said, he kind of fell back to earth this year, and I think with the Tyreek Hill not being in the mix anymore, that's going to make it a little bit troublesome. There's going to be teams kind of double teaming him now, and letting Juju's and MVS's and Cole Hardman's of the world beat him. Big difference.
100%. I do not like fantasy wise that wide receiver mix in Kansas City at all. We could talk about this all day, Bob, but let's talk about the Fantasy Expo coming August 12 to 14 in beautiful Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the Fantasy Football Expo, I'm going to be down there. My UFF sports counterpart, Show Ali's going to be down there. We're going to have a whole bunch of us down with the booth. Big names, too. Trophy Smack, our friends who are owned by Mark Cuban or Shark Tank. The fantasy footballers. Tell us a bit about what people can expect August 12 to 14 in Canton at the Fantasy Football Expo.
I mean, it's everything you've always wondered out of a fantasy football weekend. Lots of parties, lots of adult beverages, but also lots of fantasy stuff. I mean, all the best of the best will be there, as you mentioned. NBC Sports is our title sponsor. You guys will be there. Footballguys.com. Fantasy Points is sponsoring the Friday night party. There's just so many. I mean, and then all the big names. The Bob Harrises, Andy Behrens, Dave Richards from CBS, Michael Fabiano from Sports Illustrated, Brad Evans, Jeff Ratcliffe, Mike Clay from ESPN. I mean, outside of Matthew Berry, which he'd love to be there, but he can't, so we get Mike Clay, which is perfectly fine. Basically all the big boys are there, and that's what's great. Now all of us, I always call us the RB2s, can hang with the RB1s, and we can learn from them, and the camaraderie, the networking is just fantastic. It's just a fun time, and everybody gets to kind of learn from each other. I always say we're all customers of each other. Some people said, well, we have a lot of the analysts there, and so we're really not promoting our wares to fans. And I'm like, I've been a subscriber of footballguys.com for 20 years. I mean, I'm a huge fan of theirs, and I subscribe for their knowledge. Because we all have that special knowledge. I mean, I talk about consistency, and somebody else may talk about their IDP world or Devy or Dynasty or whatever. I mean, we're all learning from each other. We all love playing different genres and sports betting and, prop betting and that kind of stuff. There's so much to learn, but there's also so much fun to have. We're going to have a cornhole tournament. We're going to have a flag football tournament. We're going to have a quarterback skills challenge at the Saturday night party. Ooh. So you can get your arm loose so that you can throw targets. Just massive amounts of fun, and it's $75 for the ticket for the whole weekend. That's all the parties from Friday night, Saturday night, the drafts. You can come to. You get a ticket to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so you can tour the hall that weekend, and entrance in the expo. You get a T-shirt, wristbands, a swag bag full of like $300 to $500 worth of coupons. So it really no reason not to come. It's pretty much what it comes down to.
Man. That's incredible. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the. I forgot about, because you mentioned that before. I forgot about I'm going to warm up that arm. Get ready to throw my shoulder out. First pass.
We're going to try to make it like 10, 20, 30 yards. We're not going to try to throw to you like 70-yard bombs in this thing.
That's right. That's going to be amazing. Where can people go? Tell us the website.
So go to thefantasyfootballexpo.com. You can get your tickets there. Like I said, get the weekend package. Come Friday, Friday and stay the whole weekend. There's lots of hotels links that have discounts, and everything in Canton is 10 minutes away. So don't have to worry about if I stay at this hotel, that hotel. Everything's 10 minutes away. It's Canton, Ohio. It's a pretty small town, and just come and enjoy. Like I said, it's just a lot of fun. You're going to meet lots of people that you've probably met online through Twitter, or you follow, like UFF, or whoever your favorite sites are, your favorite analysts, experts. We're going to have live mock drafts, all kinds of panel discussions at the expo itself. 50 different vendors will have a booth. So it's, again, hard not to pass up on that. So get your $75 ticket. Oh, by the way, if you buy the $75 ticket, you get an entry into winning possibly a $2,000 entry into the $1 million FFPC competition that they hold. And so you could literally spend $75 and ended up winning $1 million. So give it a shot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, actually, at our UFF Sports booth, we're also going to be showcasing the new Axis football game, the new 2023 edition that is going to be coming out around that August time. So we're going to have a little display for that. So that's going to be a ton of fun. Listen, Bob, this has been great. Cannot wait to see you in person. Yeah, and everybody watching, I hope we get to see all of you August 12th to 14th. So check it out at www.thefantasyfootballexpo.com.